This video is the third in a series that argues that the question of foundation repair is too complex to be addressed as a math problem. Put simply, foundation repair cannot be answered by looking at a few elevation measurements. This video looks deeper at questions that must be addressed when foundation repair is considered. None of these questions can be adequately answered simply by looking at elevation measurements. How much bending is consistent with the elevations? For most foundations, the curvature in the finished floor is closely tied to the degree of bending in the foundation. Slab foundations are designed to restrict the amount of bending the foundation will see, at least during the first 7 to 10 years. These measurements can be misleading for a variety of reasons. Seasoned judgment is required. Is there any foundation-related damage? Slab foundations are designed to mitigate foundation bending and the resulting damage to the house. If there is no foundation-related damage, and there never has been any, then elevation measurements are essentially meaningless. Is the foundation strong enough to withstand the loads imposed by the repair process? Slab foundations are not designed to be lifted by piers and piles. They are designed to be continuously ground supported. Underpinning slab foundations changes the load on the foundation. In most cases, the slab foundation will survive the repair process, but there's no guarantee that this will be the case. A related factor is that the concrete used in older foundations built in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s is not the quality that is common today. Many of these foundations were made with oyster shell dredged from Galveston Bay. Oyster shell is a poor, weak aggregate. Stiffening beams were widely spaced, shallow, and not continuous. These foundations often make poor candidates for foundation repair. How much damage will the repair process create? Repair contractors include statements in their contracts that inform the homeowner that the repair may damage the house and the foundation. The risk of structural and other damage caused by the repair process must be borne by the homeowner. There is no limitation to the damage that the owner must be willing to accept. Is foundation repair an option or a necessity? In almost all cases, foundation repair is an option, not a necessity. In view of the very real potential risk, most homeowners should be rightly reluctant to underpin their foundation unless there are good and solid reasons to do so. Can the situation be improved using remediation? The Army Corps of Engineers states that most houses damaged by expansive soil movement should not be underpinned, but all of them should be remediated by taking care of drainage issues, correcting tree problems, and consistently watering during dry periods. How much benefit can reasonably be expected from foundation repair? The truth is that repairing a slab foundation is a roll of the dice. You may get significant benefit. You may get little benefit, or you may make things worse. It is not unusual for what initially appears to be a successful repair turns out to be very different with the passage of time. I have personally inspected homes that had been underpinned as many as 5 times, yet were still showing significant damage from continued foundation movement. What is the likelihood that interior piers or piles will be required in the future? Normally, only the perimeter or exterior grade beam is underpinned. But in many cases, after the passage of a few years, there is noticeable sagging in the middle area of the foundation. In many cases, this sagging is a result of the previous repair. There are no definitive numbers, but in my experience, including talking to other engineers and repair contractors, a reasonable estimate would be about 35%. What is the dominant distortion mode? This makes a big difference. Slab foundations that are shaped like an upside-down bowl are said to be in a center lift distortion mode. These foundations have a significantly better chance of being successfully repaired. Foundations that are shaped like a right-side-up bowl are said to be in an edge lift distortion mode. These foundations should almost never be underpinned. The problem can be more effectively addressed by changes in drainage. Every issue in this video should be considered when recommending foundation repair, but they cannot be reduced to a math coefficient or a simple equation. Addressing these issues requires seasoned, experienced judgment, not math skills. I'm not opposed to making elevation measurements. They can undeniably be useful. For one thing, they can be used to determine what the distortion mode is. But the decision as to what measurements to make and how to interpret them requires a subjective engineering judgment. If you found this video to be of value, please subscribe to my channel. The advantage of subscribing is that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified by email. I normally upload a new video once a week, usually on Tuesday mornings. If you're using a PC or laptop, just look for the red subscribe button at the lower left. If you're using a phone, turn the phone vertical and you should see a red subscribe button at the lower right. If you know anyone else who would benefit from this channel, please send them a link. In the meantime, I will try to have a new video out next week.